2, 3. See, Facebook does a nice little count. So I am here in episode 86, the last scheduled show of 2017. I am with my friend who's really sweet and funny, Scot Hartwell. He's with Encore, but he's going to tell you a whole bunch of stuff. So let us know that you can hear us. Yvonne's actually over here. I'm so glad that we have a studio audience. He's going to be able to tell his daughter that he has a studio audience. We have a live studio audience. We do. So, hey, Steve Martin, let us know that you can hear us and see us. That's my biggest fear. We had that yesterday with Al Spry, so I'm even more nervous. But we're going to wrap up 2017 with Scot Hartwell. We've actually been trying to get together to do a show, a remote show, because Scott works out at Encore, and he'll talk about that some soon. But I just, with my car situation, which has been just a joy to deal with, I have not been able to get out there. So Scott was kind enough. I told you I'd pick you up, Ted. He did. So Scott has been kind enough to join me at
Free Uber
today. Free Uber. God, I love that. So welcome, buddy.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on. I appreciate it, bud. I did.
Thank you.
So happy Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody. So give us a little bit of background on you. I loved your story. I'm going to dive in a little more, but tell them where you're from. It's like Idaho or California, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to talk a little bit about
potato farmer. Potato farmer.
You're totally a potato farmer. So tell them.
Definitely. No, I've been in Florida for almost 30 years now. I grew up just outside of Boston, north of Boston.
There's the accent.
Yeah.
Wicked. We like that accent.
Wicked. Go park the cars.
Go park the car. I like that.
But I was up there actually last weekend and got to see some family and friends, and now I know why I live in Florida. It's 15 degrees, 20 degrees. But
they're supposed to get hit with a storm. Did I read that? Or somewhere up north?
Named after my son, Dylan.
Named
Winter
after
Storm Dylan.
Oh, they're naming winter storms?
They are.
Who knew?
They are. Incredible.
I had no idea. So that's going to hurt travel. It's Christmas Eve. It's supposed to hit, right?
I think
it's kind of magical,
next couple, 2-3
right?
days.
That's awesome. Yes. As long as my kids are flying in tonight, I just want them to get them from Dallas, Fort Worth, because it hurts not just the cities they're in, but the cities that they fly to for the other planes.
Absolutely.
So safe travels out there. So you went up?
I was up there last weekend and hung out with family, friends, cousins.
You still have a ton of family up there?
My whole family's up there. I have my mom's one of 8 and 20 cousins on my mom's side.
Wow.
And hung out with a few of them, and cousins get married in March. So we had a nice little bachelor party on Saturday and reminisced and had a great time. So,
what brought you here if everybody's up there?
I went to school. I went to school down in Boca Raton back in 1988.
Wow.
And never went back. Exactly.
How are you old enough to go to college in 1988?
I don't know. I look great.
That's usually my line, but we'll give it to you today. You
Thanks,
look
man.
great,
I appreciate
Scott.
It. Thanks. I'll borrow it for today.
You should totally borrow it for today.
So, I've been down here, like I said, since 1988. Never went back.
What'd you study?
Studied undergrad was history, political science, and then ended up going to graduate school at the university as well and studying sports administration.
Sports administration.
Yes.
I love. I couldn't let that go.
Yes.
Sports administration.
Yes. And then my goal was to go on to law school and become a sports agent. So I'm still working on that.
Okay, so I love the sports administration. So how did you go from poli-sci and history to sports administration? I mean, that's kind of a leap, right?
It is. But the whole integration, the game plan was to, undergrad history, political science, get the law degree. So I said, hey, I want to focus on sports, go into sports management, sports administration, and then segue into becoming an attorney, which, still working on that. I have two teenagers I'm putting through school, and plan is to, when they finish their schooling, is for me to go back to law school.
So you really do want to finish that
I do.
So what did you want? So with sports administration,
Jerry Maguire, show me the money.
Is that to show me the money? Yeah, I guess that's around. Oh, 1988 though, you started school, so you got your master's. Is that what your master's is in? Or is your second degree?
My master's is sports administration.
So it is in sports. So what did you? So you wanted to go to law school, but was there, once you decided not to, or that just didn't work out, did you go into something sports related, or did you automatically jump into sales or marketing or real estate?
I was in the golf business for many years. When I finished school, several years, I was in the golf business down in South Florida as well as here in the Orlando area. And then
What does that look like? What's the golf business?
Running a golf course, running the outside staff of the golf course, running the facilities of a golf course.
Do you play a lot?
Course management. I used to play quite a bit. I used to be pretty good back in the day, but other priorities have taken over the last 10, 15 years. So now
it's time consuming, right?
It is. I
mean, it's a great sport. I love to go out and drive the cart and aggravate the people who are too serious about it.
Ted's favorite hole is the 19th hole.
It's totally the 19th hole. And we always make sure that anybody who runs that beer cart is not far behind.
Exactly.
They
have 2 on the course.
They need to have 2 on the course. It's so hot in Florida. So I'm amazed when people can go out and spend 6 hours or however long
4 hours,
4
and a half hours.
It feels like 12 in dog
it does.
hours. But I'm amazed that people can actually do that. But it's such a great way to meet people, do philanthropy, raise money for things. So I understand the power of it. In Florida, it just seems like such a crazy thing to do. But I have friends that love it and swear by it, and they go all the time.
Well, what's great about golf is you can play, at 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. You can play when you're 70, 75, 80 years old.
Right.
And you can all, they have so many sets of tees at golf courses. You can play the front tees, you can play the back tees, and keep it competitive and keep it fun. And like you said, with the networking and the philanthropy and the fundraisers, it's a great opportunity to do business. I've done a lot of business on the golf course as well.
I mean, crazy as it sounds, me too. A lot of times people feel sorry for me when I'm taking a shot, though. So I get a lot of pity business, I think, at that point.
I posted a video. I reposted a video the other day, and I'm going to show it to you.
You should. It's probably me, right?
It was.
It's terrible.
I was thinking of you when I posted it.
It's really sad, actually. Kat Brower usually makes me, because she'll sponsor stuff, and she's like, I think she just brings me along as entertainment because I can't play at all, like not at all. I like the ones with the clown and the windmill. That's about my speed.
Between the clown's legs.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Of course, the problem with those, too, is that there's no cart person. So you can't really get much at those done.
You have to be creative.
There's apparently a theme here, but I don't want my sponsor to know about it. So let's talk about what you did after golf.
So I ended up getting into marketing, sales and marketing. Worked for Anheuser-Busch back in the mid-'90s, mid to late 90s, which was fantastic. It was great. Unfortunately, I had to move on because I was sampling too many of the products. We had a great time. I was able to go to the Olympics in Atlanta for 1996, which was incredible.
Is that the one where all the stuff happened?
Yes.
Wow.
That was a nerve-wracking evening because back in those days, I want to say we didn't have cell phones. We had pagers. So
I remember.
I had to put a new battery in my pager the next day because my pager was blowing up. My family, friends, everybody.
For those of you who don't, there was a bombing, right?
There was a bombing
at the Olympics in one of the areas where people were kind of relaxing, listening to music. Maybe there was something going on.
There was a concert going on.
Concert.
Crazy stuff.
About that. Yeah, that was crazy. So you were there for that.
I was. Unfortunately, I was not there, but I did have friends that were down in that area. Thank God they were okay. And, things happen like that.
Scary time.
Unfortunate, crazy things happen in this world. And, you just you do the best you can, be as safe as you can, and always keep your head on a swivel and make sure you're alert at all times.
Yes. My friend, Miss Darcell, says, be vigilant.
Absolutely.
Be vigilant. Because you have to be vigilant. You
can never be too vigilant, unfortunately.
You can't.
Never let your guard down.
So what did you do after Anheuser-Busch, which seems like a dream job to me at this point?
It was Anheuser-Busch Inc. They call it in-laws, nephews, and cousins. But it was an incredible experience. It was a fun experience. And then moved on to other sales opportunities and then got into real estate back in 15, 16 years ago.
So what gets you, I'm always amazed at people that get into real estate after they've done sales and things. So what was the motivator? Did you have a friend in real estate that said, hey, Scott, you can make a ton more money doing this? Or were you an investor? Or how did that come about?
My ex-wife.
Your ex-wife?
My ex-wife.
She didn't know there was an ex-wife.
She was doing extremely well. Working for builders developers, and took the leap of faith back in 2002 and never looked back. Been a commission salesperson in real estate for the last 15 and a half years, 16 years.
So your ex-wife was doing so well that you said, I want to jump in.
Exactly.
Well, that was a good market back then, though. I mean, that was pre-2008. So you've been in it. So what happened with you in 2008 when the whole world seemed to come crashing down?
Held on tight, held on to the steering wheel and kept the ship.
So you stayed in real estate.
I did. I never left. Okay. Never left.
And how did you make the transition? Because I think a lot of people got in it before 2008, and then they were so
jump ship.
Oh, because at some point they had to, because they didn't understand how to really create business. A lot of people who got in during the boom, they were order takers, and they didn't understand how to create their own business, market, those kinds of things, because the leads were just coming in. You had a pulse, and you could close a home. Allegedly back in the day. So how did you manage to maintain? Because it was tough. People weren't doing open houses anymore. Nobody wanted to get off their money because nobody had any money. So it was a really tough time. How did you manage to maneuver through?
It was, back when I was younger, the ethic that the work ethic that my parents and grandparents taught me back years ago, many, many years ago, that they taught me and instilled in me that never give up. If you want to do something, you're determined to do something, you never give up. And I was going through a tough time then. The market was terrible. Short sales and REOs were huge back then.
True.
Which was the majority of the market. And I was able to get into short sales and did quite a bit of those. And handle those short sales. And
that was not an easy thing to do.
No.
Still not really, but that was not an easy thing to do back then because their desks were overloaded with short sales, foreclosures, houses abandoned. I mean, it was such a crazy time. So you really had to be back to vigilant or diligent in making sure you had the right information, making sure you understand how to work with the banks. I mean, I lived through this, so I know it. And I'm always amazed at anybody who's come out on the other side of it and managed to maintain their real estate license, their real estate practice, getting into real estate, because it was beyond insanely tough back then.
Oh yeah, it was the bottom for me. It was literally and figuratively. I went through my divorce.
So it did have an impact.
Huge. I was living in a 4,000 square foot house with no furniture that I lived in with my family for 5 years. Yeah, it was.
So when did you start to see the corner? When did you start to turn the corner? Because you stayed in it.
Yeah,
you obviously had it. I want to talk about your grandparents in a little bit.
Okay.
But you stayed in it. This is back to the work ethic from parents and family and grandparents. You stayed in it, and then you managed to rebuild or build a career from it. But were you doing independent real estate, like working for a broker at the time when the crash happened? Because you're at Encore now, and I want you to talk about that too.
No, absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about the transition there.
Yeah, I was in general real estate, which is working obviously with buyers, sellers, investors for 11 plus years. And then over the last several years, I've been working for on-site for builder developers, which Ted alluded to. As far as what I do now is working at Encore, as an on-site sales executive, selling luxury vacation homes. So held on tight, 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, working, doing the general real estate, working with the buyers, sellers, some REOs, mainly short sales, and then obviously transitioning into on-site sales. Just wanted to try something different, wanted to, broaden my horizons and get into something different as far as real estate goes. And that's where I am today is
So he's on-site sales. And then Yvonne, will you pull since we're live and we can do this little camera thing, Instagram's giving me a message. You can pull it closer to you. We don't have to you can just pull it. I don't know what it's saying. This is our only second time. We are trying Instagram, but we're still golden on Facebook, so we're fine. We're going to let her play with that.
Sorry.
You can take it with you and mess with it if you want to. Talk about your grandparents, and then I want to get to Encore.
Okay, absolutely.
But I loved it because I always ask my guests for a bio, and then most of them say, okay, a bio, what does that mean? How long does it have to be? Sometimes I get an encyclopedia's amount worth, and then sometimes I get a paragraph or two. Is it okay?
I have no idea.
I don't know. Okay, so we're going to play with it later. And then you sent me a great bio, and then afterward, you sent me like kind of a postscript about your grandparents.
You know how I got the bio? I Googled it. I didn't recreate the whale.
That's awesome. That's probably what I would have done if you said I have no idea what to do with a bio. But you talked about your grandparents, and I love that because your grandfather served, your grandmother's still alive. I would love for you to tell more about how they impacted your life and what they did.
No, they're incredible people. My grandmother, who I saw over the weekend, this past weekend, up in Boston, God bless her. She'll be 95 in about 30 days, a little more than 30 days.
Bless her, that's awesome.
Yeah, little Sicilian lady. Her parents came over about 100 years ago from Sicily and settled right outside of Boston. And she lived in the home she was actually born in for 86 years.
Oh my God.
Yes.
That's an amazing story.
That's incredible.
So what did she do with it?
That was incredible.
Oh, Kelly's here. Oh,
Hi,
look,
Kelly.
Kelly says hi.
Hi,
We have
Kelly.
2 audience members. You're live, Kelly.
Merry Christmas!
Happy New Year.
Drinks are on 10. Get to the club in the next 10 minutes.
Allegedly. There it is. So you never know what's going to happen on this
Super
show.
Uber.
Super Uber. So she lived in the house she was born in for 86 years.
86 years.
So how does that
And
work
I lived
for
in
you guys?
And I lived in that house for 2 years.
That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. It was
And
incredible.
and they were from Sicily, which I'm part Sicilian, so I love Sicilians.
The best part.
The best part is Sicilian.
Absolutely.
The food. Did you grow up with amazing food with
She
her?
getting to this time of the year, every Christmas Eve, she would make the traditional fish.
Oh, the Feast of 7 Fishes.
7 fishes.
Love that.
Incredible. I wasn't a big fish eater. She would actually make me a sirloin steak and baked potato.
I love it. Sirloin steak. So do you eat fish now? Does she
I
still
do.
make the 7 fishes?
She doesn't. God bless her. She doesn't. I wish she did. But I did enjoy it for several years.
Did you learn how to make, let's see, what do Sicilians call it? Gravy or sauce, or what did you learn how to make from her? Are you a cook? Like I can't, we talked about this earlier. We're going to do a cooking show because I can make a cheesy bagel, but I don't know how to make an egg.
I
But
can't.
you know how to order one.
I do know how to order one. See, we got a good audience.
That's the best. Order one. Reservations. But yes, I did. My grandmother, you ask her the recipe, she just doesn't have anything written down. It's all by hand and knowledge.
I love that.
And I learned how to make her meatballs.
Oh, you
I can make her meatballs.
Now,
I am
are
very
those
good
the
at making
traditional
meatballs.
Sicilian ones with the pine nuts in them?
They're not, no nuts in them, but she has some other special. If I tell you, I'll have to kill you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. No, she's going to kill you first, is what it is. She's going to kill you first.
Yeah, so you do a combination of meats.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Now, do you sear them in a pan or bake them in the oven?
Kelly's going to obviously just
Yeah, she's
partake.
gonna pull it.
She's not on, but she's good. She's going to ask questions.
I do. I
love it.
Q&A.
I love audience Q&A.
I do.
So I would love for you. So when I come out to Encore, when you pick first you have to pick me up.
Absolutely.
Then you have to drive me to Encore. Then you have to take me back. But in the meantime, before then, I need you to make me some of those meatballs.
I will.
So that I can eat them on the way.
I will.
Because
I will.
Encore
I
is
love
not a
making
short
meatballs.
trip.
I will make meatballs.
Make it a meatballs.
Meatball
I love
trip.
that.
Meatball trip.
I did. My wife, Stacy, makes a great sauce or gravy, depending on which side of my family we're talking about. But that's such a learned thing. And when you first meet people, if anybody dares to throw something out of a jar, I'm mortified. Or if you think it's Olive Garden is real Italian,
You're missing the boat.
Yeah, you missed. Actually, you never got on the
Yeah.
boat.
That's right.
You need to get on the boat. But that's the scary. So, but your grandfather, talk about him. So he served in World War II.
Yes, my grandfather, God rest his soul, passed away several years ago. But he was a quick story about him. I brought it up a few times over the last couple of weeks, where he was left-handed back in the late 20s, early 30s. So back then they thought there was something wrong with him being left-handed, and they actually tied his left hand to his body and tried to make him right-handed. He did not. His learning struggled, so he actually quit school when he was in the 8th grade.
Wow.
So
that it's very sad, but that was actually the norm.
Yes,
much more of the norm back then.
It was.
And it's so awful, which is such a weird thing. Left hand, right hand. Like you can't even, there's so many other things to choose. Your eyes droopy. You've got a bad mole. Why would you pick on somebody left hand, right hand? But that's what they did.
Yeah.
Oh, your mom did that to
Yeah,
you?
me
See?
too.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. The
So
one
I'm
abuse I didn't
infectious because
suffer,
of that,
thank
yeah.
God.
Wow.
So he had to overcome a lot, right?
He did. He overcame a lot, and he joined the Navy. He went into the Navy. I think he actually lied about his age to get into the Navy.
My father-in-law did too, yeah.
Yeah.
They that's what they did back then.
Yeah.
They wanted to serve.
Yeah.
They really did.
And if it was up to him, he would have served for his entire life. He was a quartermaster in the Navy. He was in the North Atlantic and the South Pacific, a quartermaster on the ship, and his hearing in his left ear was gone because of the gun turret.
Oh,
Was right next to it. So back in those days, not that the guys, God bless all our soldiers these days. I love them. You guys are great. But back in those days, the Navy saw, not that you guys don't see any action, saw a lot of action. It was
a different world.
He got off his ship right about this time of the year, back in late 30s.
Not when I was born, by the way. He was trying to answer that question.
So he got off the ship, and he was his ship. He was on a destroyer, was sunk by U-boat right around Christmas time.
Wow!
And he
survived.
Fortunately, he was not on. So, and then he saw action up in the North Atlantic, obviously, and then back in the South Pacific, he was.
Say hi to Jess. Jess is here.
Hey, Jess.
You're live. Hi, Jess. Just
Yes.
wave. Say Merry Christmas, Jess.
Merry Christmas.
Yay!
Our favorite waitress.
We love her.
His destroyer was refueling an aircraft carrier in the South Pacific. A kamikaze came in, missed the aircraft carrier, and hit his ship.
Wow.
Yeah. And those are just a few of the stories. I wish, unfortunately, you can't. I don't know. I didn't want to pry stories from him or talk about it, but he would bring it up from time to time. I wish I asked him more questions or got more information like that. I'm a huge history buff. I love history, and
me too.
And I love watching the History Channel and watching World War II films. A lot of tragedy, unfortunately, but it's.
So why the
history,
two of
American
them?
History.
Why the two of them? Because you singled them out, and I didn't ask you to single them out, but you singled out your grandfather and your grandmother. Different sides.
No,
they're the married ones.
Together.
Okay, so
my dad's
parents.
My dad's parents. Not that I wasn't. My mom's parents.
Don't worry, your
were
mom's
great
parents
as well.
aren't watching.
Yeah, they're not. They might.
Well, they probably are
watching over us.
So watch out when you drive out of here.
They're watching over us.
They're totally.
Look over your shoulder.
Yeah, look over your
Did
shoulder.
your grandfather ever talk about the food in the Navy?
Yeah, that's one thing. He never. He always used to say his saying, and I live by this today. There's so many people starving in this world. Waste not, want not.
Yeah.
He would eat his meal. He fed some of it to his dog, Queenie, who was a beagle. Unfortunately, she died of obesity. But I live to this day. He would eat his plate, and then he would, his grandkids.
Sure.
And he would eat. I mean, that was the thing back in the Navy. This is what you get. This is what you eat, and that's it. And it wasn't the best tasting food.
Yeah.
It was.
Well, if you make
very humbling.
meatballs,
Yes.
I promise you, I'm going to eat all of them.
So that
I will
was-
not waste a one.
That was probably one of the reasons I never found out the true reason he was with my grandmother. She's a great lady, but probably
It's good
because of
food.
her cooking.
Yeah.
She was
Oh, good
3
to
meals.
see you.
She would cook him 3 meals a day.
Oh my God.
3 meals a day,
That's amazing.
incredible meals, delicious meals, everything homemade, everything from scratch. And she would cook, and he would wash the dishes by hand.
So it was
Now, what
partnership.
have you passed on to the kids from them? Because you have 2 kids. You have a daughter and a
Kids,
son,
I have
right?
a 16-year-old daughter and a 19-year-old son.
And did you pass on? Did you inherit or learn how to love cooking because of them, or do you cook? Do you grill?
I do. I
don't know any
grill.
of that.
I
so-
cook when I'm in the mood. I do cook grandma's meatballs.
You do. Oh, that's right.
I do.
We
cook
definitely
grandma's
need those
meatballs.
when you pick me up.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
That and champagne. I'm not going to order.
Perfect.
beforehand.
Meatballs and champagne. Can't go wrong with that.
Okay, red wine, fine. The Italian in me just came out. I'm like, you can't have champagne with that. But did the kids get your kids obviously know your grandmother?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yes,
see, that's awesome.
absolutely.
And is she still up in Boston or? around Boston?
Yes. She's in right outside of Boston, assisted living facility, and God bless her. I wish she still cooked to this day, but she's.
Well, she passed on. She imparted stuff onto you, which is amazing.
Yeah, she did. I remember playing. I'm a big hockey guy. I played hockey growing up. Love ice hockey, and playing in the kitchen and the way her home was set up. You walk in and it's a straight hallway, and she was my goalie.
Oh my God, I love that. That's so endearing.
And my grandfather used to make me hockey sticks from wood.
Oh my God. Were you you have a million cousins. You must have been the favorite. You were the favorite grandchild? Is that what this is?
Well, actually, those were on my dad's side, so I didn't have any cousins on my dad's side. I had the 20 cousins on my mom's side.
Oh.
So I was the favorite. And I was the first one, and I was a boy.
Oh.
So
you were totally
I was the king. I wasn't a prince, I was a king.
You are a king.
Did you break anything in the house?
Did I break anything in the house? I definitely marked up the cabinets, and
Well, now people pay extra for that. It's called distressing.
Exactly.
That's right. They distress it. So tell us about Encore, because I don't want to leave. We're already at almost 30 minutes, so I don't want to leave. No, we're golden.
Let's stick around for another 30 minutes.
There it is.
Having a great time.
I know. That's right. It's all about
Jessica. Fireball shots.
Look how quickly he got right into the TV thing. I mean, it took like less than 15 minutes for him to go, I get this now. So tell us about Encore, because I don't want to leave without you talking about what you do, because I want people to understand what people do who are on the show, and hopefully you can benefit from the connections that we have on the show.
Yeah, so what I do is I work, as I said earlier, I work on site. I sell luxury vacation homes at the Encore Resort Homes at Reunion, located down at 429 I-4. Incredible community. There's a one-of-a-kind, unique community. 4-bedroom homes all the way up to 12-bedroom homes, starting in the mid-300s all the way up to 900,000. We work with realtors. Wow. We love realtors. We do pay a 9% or a 10% commission. Realtors listening out there,
love it.
You can contact me, so anytime, feel free. It's a very unique opportunity. That's why I'm there. I've been there for 2 years now. I love it. I've had a wonderful year. I've had the opportunity to travel the world through Encore. It's been great. I love what I do. I love meeting people from all over the world.
I was going to say, are your clients primarily for nationals? Do you have a lot of people coming over, or do you have up north? Like who primarily buys into Encore?
I have people from all over the world. I have Americans that I've become great friends with. I have Brazilians that I've become great friends with. I have Europeans that I've become great friends with. I have Canadian friends. I have friends all over the world. I can go anywhere in the world. They invite me to stay with them. I've sold them homes. Most of the folks will buy the home, use the home, and then rent it out when they're not using it.
Sure.
Or they use it as a second home and don't rent it out. So you have different options there. We had 75 million people come to Orlando this year. 35% of those rented homes instead of renting hotels. So it's making a huge impact on the hotel industry, and the hotel companies know that. So
that's interesting. I actually didn't think about how much of an impact that would have.
It's a tremendous impact. Watch in the next several years that these companies either buy Encore, or they buy a community, or they do something on their own where they create their own luxury vacation community with vacation homes.
Wow.
That's how big it is.
So this is an income opportunity as well as
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Depending on the property and what your investment goals are, you can.
Do you handle the renting of the property out in-house so that the homeowner doesn't have to do that? Or how do you, if somebody comes in and purchases a home and then wants to rent it out for the months that they're not going to be there, how do you handle that?
Great question. I get that question all the time. We do. We have 3 parts. It's a unique, like I said, unique community. There's several other vacation home communities out there where you have 20, 30, 40 management companies. It's like the Wild West.
Right.
So ours is more regulated, more controlled. We're going to own and operate the amenities in the community, where most communities, once the builder developer finishes the community, they're gone.
Right.
So to answer your question, there's 3 management companies that would be able to
That's awesome.
operate
within Encore. They partner with Encore, the builder developer. They're separate companies. And what they do is they do all the marketing, bookings, cleanings. They do everything from A to Z. It's a turnkey opportunity for We have people from Central Florida that buy homes there. We have people from South Florida. We have people from Canada. We have people from the UK, Brazilians, Chinese, China, South America, all over the world.
So people not only get the appreciation of the house as a value, but also the income, the net that they get after renting the house.
Yeah, and they get to use the home.
And they get to
Which
use
is,
the home.
that's so great. So let me ask you on money. So we're at 30, so I want to talk about money. Am I allowed to talk about private money and money at all?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another thing I was going to mention.
Let's talk about private money because I don't want you to not have that opportunity to talk about that. So talk a little bit about private money because people are afraid of that. They hate that word. They're afraid they're going to pay 25% interest. They're afraid to deal with someone. When you say private money, they think automatically nobody's backing it. There's no bank. People have an interesting preconceived notion about private money. So give them a little bit. And of course, everything that's going on in the world right now with Bitcoin and real estate and all the things we're talking about. I had a Bitcoin guy on, I don't know if it was this week or last week, Jose Nito. He was awesome. But talk about your business on the private money.
Yeah, so one of the other things I do, wear a few hats, as Ted mentioned. We do private money. I have a partner that I work with locally here. And we lend private money out to, investors looking to purchase properties throughout the state of Florida.
What would be the advantage to going to you over coming to a lender? Is it because you don't have as many restrictions or parameters that they have to, or guidelines they have to meet? Because obviously the interest rate is going to be a little higher.
It is. It is.
Is it because that it's just too difficult to get through the traditional platforms, and that's why it's attractive to someone? Like how? Because I think people do. They think private money. They think there's going to be somebody who's scraping their knuckles when they come to collect, and they literally think they're going to get killed. I'm telling you, I've had this.
No,
before.
you're right. You're 100%
crazy
right
to me.
And you have to educate them.
You have to educate them.
And I can call my cousin from Carleone.
Carleone, I love it.
Come over and take care of
it.
it.
That's the perception. And I think people miss out on opportunities.
Goodfellas. Remember Goodfellas?
I love that movie.
First time I dug a hole?
They don't appreciate. They're afraid. They're afraid of you. And I don't know why. Why are they afraid of you?
Yeah, you have to educate people.
You do.
We talk to them and walk them through and take them step by step. But yes, as far as going through your traditional lending, not everybody can qualify for traditional lending.
Correct.
So it's actually helping folks.
Sure, it is.
Helping people, investors that are looking to purchase properties, commercial or residential, wherever it may be in Central Florida, in South Florida, or on the West Coast, helping them where they don't have other options.
Well, look what Colleen just said. She's a really good friend of mine and a sweetheart, and she's in the lending business. She goes, I need a private money lender who's trustworthy. I've always been afraid to refer someone and then have them get taken, because how do you vet a private lender unless you get referred or it's a very difficult thing. Like you can say, I work for Fairway, which is what I do, or you work for Chase, and people know that that's a name and they can Google it. But that's not necessarily what you do. So because you've got private money, you're not going to have all of those things normally. You work with Urbanski. Is that who you work with? I know. We won't say his name out loud or he'll get a giant, bigger head than he already has. We love Gary.
I love you, man.
We love you, man. But Colleen's right. That's what people think. They're afraid because they're afraid they refer a client and that client's going to pay, again, 25% interest. And if they don't make a payment, they're going to be killed or they're going to lose their house. And it's the education part.
It is.
So Scott's amazing, Colleen. You can absolutely trust Scott.
Colleen, I'd love to meet with you and have lunch.
She's awesome.
We can meet with my partner as well, and we could all sit down and answer questions. If you have some folks that need help, we can get them, meet with them as well. We'd love to help you out.
All right. So what is, we're going to finish. So give us some parting words for, first of all, you were awesome, by the way.
Thank
and
you.
It's so funny because he's so worried, and most people are. You're like, what am I going to talk about? How are we going to get 30 minutes in? But you have a story. And as soon as we start talking about it, we're not talking about business, boring business stuff. You actually get to lighten up, and everybody gets to see the Scot Hartwell that we all know and love. So leave them with something.
Leave them with something.
I told him about this earlier, so don't think I put him on the spot. Don't message me later and go, I can't believe you feel bad.
No, I can't say. I want to, I'll thank Ted for having me on the show. I mean, this is probably one of my best years of my life.
That's awesome.
And with Ted, he's just.
Oh God! Don't see you cry. I cry. We talked about this on the show. Oh God, you're a blessing to be around. You're always so positive, and I appreciate that. You've had a fantastic year, which you deserve. Telling you deserve, and 2018 is going to be even more awesome. So, God bless you. Thank you for coming on, taking a risk, being vulnerable. We love you guys so much. It's been a fantastic year. This is the last scheduled show for
Merry
2017.
Christmas and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas and
Cheers.
Happy New Year.
Merry
We
Christmas.
love you.
2018
Merry
is gonna be even
Christmas.
better.
Woo!
Mama's
Love you
meatballs.
guys.
Grandma's
that's right,
meatballs.
Grandma's meatballs. All right, we love you.
Thank you.
Bye.